Hi everyone. This is our first virtual open house for Arbor Vitae. It's February 23rd, Tuesday, um, 2026. And we're so happy to be here. We're so happy to talk about the new school year and all of the wonderful things we've been planning and having discussions about. And this is always like a really wonderful time to see who's interested in the program and start those discussions, start those connections, and see where we go from here. So we'll spend the next hour and a half roughly going through different elements of the program, like Claudia said earlier. This is meant to be like a really intimate community gathering. So you are more than welcome to raise your hand or simply unmute yourself and ask questions at any point of our presentation. All questions are good. All questions will help our like other fellow community members that are here. So don't be shy. Um, and towards the end of our presentation, we'll also have a few people join us, two that are current students and one that is a graduate. They'll come in to um, speak a little bit about their experience in the program, and you'll also have the opportunity to ask them questions and just get their raw and filtered responses of what it's like to be a student. Maybe ask them whatever you want, but specifically things you're feeling could be challenges for you or things that you're worrying about or wondering rather how students have navigated that in the program. We'll do our best to also support those that context and create that dialogue, but nothing better than to hear it from them personally. So. We do have a presentation in slides, but I guess since I'm holding the talking stick at the moment, I will go ahead and introduce myself. Um, my name is Diana Isidoro. I am a co-director along with Claudia Keel at Arbor Vitae. I've been with the school since 2017. I am just so, so happy that my path has landed here at the school. I cherish this work very, very much. I cherish the connections I have with faculty, teachers, the greater community, all the students. Um, I wear a lot of hats at the school. One being just admin extraordinaire, but also, so with that, all the scheduling, all the support that students have with just navigating the program in general um, and connecting teachers into the program and helping to navigate the curriculum within the schedule. One of my other hats is I'm a clinic director, and we'll talk about the clinic as part of this 3-year arch in more depth later on, but that is also just really rewarding work to support the clinical students in their 3rd year with clients and organizing and just being a cheerleader essentially and supporting them from start to finish. Um, I think that's it for now. But maybe Sam, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Diana. So my name is Sam Perry, and I am one of the core teachers at the school. And I also am very happy to say that I was one of the first students at the school. I was in the very first year when Claudia and Richard Mandelbaum, who's not on the call tonight, but is another core teacher and uh, helped found the school with Claudia. I was in the first class, which I don't know how many years ago that was. Maybe Claudia, but
Good while
a long
ago.
time ago. Um, but yeah, my roles at the school as a teacher, I really focus on a lot of different topics, but materia medica, the plants themselves, the reason we're all here, and I also work with various topics like doing respiratory system classes, doing medicine making classes, doing plant walks, and then Diana's mentioned the clinic, the student clinic, which we have in the third year. That's something that I'm one of the mentors on to make sure that the clinical work is really unfolding and everybody's getting that experience, that people are getting good care when they come to the clinic, and that students are getting good practice. In the second year, we also have uh, sort of initial work that we do with cases, and I'm supervising those as well. And yeah, really, I guess my role in the school as a teacher is to kind of keep centered in some way the reason that we're all on this path. And what I try to focus on is that anybody who's here, anybody who's coming to an herb school, anybody who's coming to a exploratory call, open house about an herb school, it's because we've identified that there is a need to help. And the thing that I really center my work on is that we have a path. We have a way to help with this herbal tradition. We have really good tools. We're blessed to have a lineage that's been passed down through all these different systems of herbal medicine. And it just gives me a lot of joy to help people rediscover that, reawaken, remember that. And yeah, and it informs my own work outside of the school. I'm a clinical herbalist. I see clients. I'm a registered herbalist, which maybe we'll talk about. That's through the AHD, the American Herbalist Guild, so I can speak about that path as well. Yeah, I think that's a little bit. And yeah, I'm just so glad you guys are all here and looking forward to hearing your questions. Really is very important for me. Yeah.
And
Claudia, yeah.
okay, I'm Claudia Keel, but I want to just emphasize one thing that Sam offers in the program that he just said quickly, but is really something that really makes our program different is that in the second year of the program, people are meeting with people on their own and writing up cases, and each person, once a month gets an hour mentorship with Sam about and there's some other mentors that are starting to work, but basically Sam's been doing this for a long time, and it it gives people the experience before they actually start the clinical work in year three. So and this is in addition to all the class time. I don't think we've counted that as part of the numbers, but at any rate, I just wanted to say that you do that, and that's so beloved by the students. But to say a little bit about me, I'm Claudia Keel, and I founded the school with Rich Mandelbaum, and we were in New York City, and dreaming up a school. There was a lot of people asking us to teach. We both have clinical practices, and been in the city. And but people were asking us to teach these programs, and so we'd known each other and just decided to get together. But we decided when we wanted to form an herb school that we didn't want to do an introductory school, a program. There are lots of those around. We wanted one that really would support people in as comprehensive a way as we could, that would allow them to practice, because people take a lot of programs, but then they don't know how to make that little jump into practice. So that's a great part of the inspiration of Arbor Vitae. Um, and so I teach in the school. I also help administer with the school with Diana. Um, and there's a number of courses that I focus on. There, I work with food as medicine and also herbal foods, so to speak, like how to make therapeutic herbal foods. Um, so that's a part in nutrition. That's a part of the program as well. And there's some other people bringing different things in as well. And in the first year, what I really love to teach, there's different things every year, but we go through the cycles of life in classes. And so, you know, starting, you know, I don't teach about childhood, but, it goes into, you know, different aspects of life, including being elder. And so that's one part. And also the cycles of the year, because a great deal of herbalism, traditional herbalism, also, when you're well, is to honor the cycles of the year, the cycles of the day. Um, and it's just beautiful to, work with that and come at herbalism from that lens. There's other things that I teach in different subjects all around the program, but another thing that I particularly emphasize in is flower essence therapy. It's not a full-on fluorescence therapy course that you get within the 3 years, but if you are interested in it, there's a lot of support, and we have an apothecary in the school, and people can use that within their clinical practice. And um, so, there's many ways to address mental and emotional states. You'll be learning about that. That's another thing I focus on. Um, but flower essences is one, so people can choose where they want to land and how they want to apply, which gets to a number of other things, but we'll go on with our talk about the program more so later.
Yeah. Um, so I Claudia, we'll just do this podcast style and I'll just share these.
Okay, go,
Okay.
go
Okay.
for it.
Um, I just want to, so our presentation is going to be kind of a podcast style. Forgive us, we're not the most rehearsed, orchestrated bunch, but this will be entertaining. Um, so we start with like the who, what, where of the program, and I just want to start with who are the people of Arbor Vitae. Students. Students, first and foremost, are at the center of Arbor Vitae. And with that, we're just so um, honored and touched that our student body is they come from all different places, especially now with this schedule where we meet 3 days in person a month, and we'll talk about the schedule more specifically later. It really allows people to come from all different parts of the Northeast, but sometimes from further beyond. We have a student who flies in from Tennessee, a student who flies in from Texas, and we're just always so grateful for that commitment, but also within diverse backgrounds and places. Many folks come into the program with all different types of training. Some are doctors, some are therapists, some are graphic designers. Everyone has their career or their space that they have spent so much time gathering their own tools and their own skills. And it's just really beautiful to watch them sort of merge these different paths with herbalism once they're at school. And then our students also are just all different ages, from students who come to us right after high school to students who are in their retirement. And that kind of breadth of and spectrum of wisdom really creates the beautiful community in each cohort. And I just can't emphasize enough that at the school you'll be learning, but there's a learning that's happening in the classroom amongst you and your peers that we honestly can't take credit for. Um, there's just like a real sense of um, community, but also just a space to learn from each other and to support each other and to take this journey of 3 years together. Um, and we've just seen real magic happen in those ways. Our core teachers and our support team hold the container of the school. We are deeply involved with the students throughout the 3 years. So this school experience feels closer to an apprenticeship, in the sense that you always have direct access to us for support, for questions, for relationship building, for mentorship. So just want to kind of let you all know that as you're kind of considering what this environment could feel like. Um, yeah, does Claudia, do you want to say anything else about who we are at the school?
Yeah, I mean, I could say a bit about the teach other teachers that come in. There's a number of teachers that come in from all different practices within herbalism. That's the other thing that when we started this, we wanted to have something that didn't cover everything about herbalism, but covered sort of the main energetic systems, for example, that are often practiced. There's so many, I shouldn't call anything the main, but within that is Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and the vitalist tradition from Egypt to through Greece into Europe. So teachers are coming from that. We do have some indigenous teachers coming to teach, like Olo Abasi, who comes from Africa, to teach in person, which is really wonderful. And she'll bring her mix because she is African, but also practices I practiced in Puerto Rico for a long time with the Taínos. And there's other ones that might change in different years. Um, so the teachers that are coming in are also really important. That it's like a workshop with a teacher, but yet it's all connected um in this curriculum that this arc of a curriculum of each year. Um, and we have a diversity. We have, I don't know if people know, and you can see on our website, not all of
I
our teachers
can
are there. Oh, do
I
you want
can share a slide. Yeah, that shows just a select few. There we have all of our faculty on our website with their bios, but maybe this would just be helpful. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys.
So within that, that's interspersed with both online learning and in-person learning with these teachers. So you have access to a diversity. And the thing that we see, yeah, there's Kat Meyer, Matthew Wood, and McIntyre, Seven Song, and they're all practiced in different ways. Olobasi's picture there, but Dina Falcone is local to us. In Accord. So you get to visit her homestead and see how she grows and makes medicine there, among other things. She also teaches a number of things and works in the clinic. Patrick Pratoloni is sort of in rotation, cardiologist, herbalist, and Chanchal Cabrera, who works with cancer primarily now, but so those are just a small spattering, but the idea behind that I hope you can get is that you'll have this core group of people, like of teachers and other people in our team around you, but you'll be getting to meet this diversity
She comes back.
to bring forward in the school, that it wasn't just people learning to teach about herbs, but that they're coming from experience of using herbs with people. So.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop this share. But yeah, I can't emphasize enough that the teachers that are invited into the program, it is so important for the curriculum and for the students that are learning from them that they have that clinical practitioner experience. So they really are bringing in case reviews and bringing in their wisdom of having decades of working with people and having all of that just information they've gathered all along to share with you all. Okay, so where is Arbor Vitae?
Mhm.
Um, Sam, I'm just take the lead on where we are for a second, and I will go ahead and pop
Yeah,
up a picture of the beautiful property.
absolutely. And I just want to put a pin that I would love to return to our core teacher, Richard Mandelbaum, just so we could give a little bit of
Oh,
information.
yes.
Maybe I do that now while you're pulling that picture up.
That
Yes,
would be
please.
Be
amazing.
Yeah.
happy to sing the praises of Richard Mandelbaum because
Yes.
he's my teacher along with Claudia, and we are very blessed to have Richard as a core faculty. And so Claudia and I spoke about what we sort of focus on a little bit, but with Richard, you could fill a book, but Richard
Yeah.
focuses on phytochemistry. He focuses on botany. He focuses a lot on Chinese medicine tradition and but from a very interesting perspective, from a very uh, unique perspective. And Richard just holds such a deep knowledge and humble curiosity about the plants and about the people and how to connect those plants and those people. He's an amazing clinical mentor. So like Claudia and I and several other folks, but Richard is one of the key mentors in the herbal clinic. And yeah, such an important part of the school. So I think that there's an open house that Richard will come on. I
The
believe so,
next
right?
one.
So
Yeah.
the next one. So you could also encounter Richard on one of these calls. But uh, so maybe where we are. So that's a beautiful picture. This is New Paltz, New York. For those who are local to the East Coast, you might know people refer to New York, upstate New York, but it's really what we're talking about is the Hudson Valley. Um, the river that's called the Hudson, Moheakuntuk. It's the river that flows both ways. It's an estuary that flows from north of Albany by Troy and comes into the Mohawk, and then it comes down through all the way down south past Manhattan Island and out the Verrazano Narrows into the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. And we are on the tributary that flows into the Hudson in New Paltz. The tributary is the Wallkill, and the Wallkill River is flowing along from the Esopus Creek, and these are flowing from the mountains, which are in the Catskill Mountains, that we are in a specific part of the Catskill Mountains called the Shawannagunks. So where we are is on absolutely beautiful, beautiful planet. And the part of the planet that we have as the school is specifically the Shawangunk Mountains near the Wallkill River Valley flowing out into the Hudson, Moheakuntuk. Um, the land was really uh, and still is very alive with history and traditional land of the Lenape people, the Esopus tribe. There's a lot of history there because you can see the name is Huguenot Street. The early settlers there were French Huguenots, and we're actually on the historic part of the street. So it's a place where we encounter the history and the land. And that is part of our practice when we work in herbal medicine is to know where the plants grow, who has tended those spaces, who's carried the stories and songs and traditions of those medicines. So this is part of where we're held. The house that you see in that picture is a farmhouse. And the yellow barn towards the middle of the picture is a dairy cattle barn that this was owned by the Jewett family for for many generations. This was a dairy farm, and this is probably the most beautiful farmland in the area, flowing off of the Wallkill floods. So beautiful, nourished soil. And we're in what was their farmhouse. That's the home of the school. And beautifully tended land. You can see that's about 100 plus acres of land that we have access to for herbal walks and for just places to be. We have some wonderful um, places to be in silence and in prayer or meditation within that land that we tend. And where we are is along a rail trail, which means you can walk on a path without being on the road to go into the town of New Paltz, which is sort of an upstate New York college town. And from there, you can take a bus, not a far ride into New York City. So many of our students commute from New York City on the bus and can walk to school along the rail trail. Um, but it's accessible from all sorts of places. Like we've mentioned, many people travel from further away, but a lot of our students are in the Hudson Valley or around the area or coming up from New York City, Connecticut, um, maybe Western Mass, several folks, New Jersey, a fair amount of folks. Yeah. What am I missing about where we are?
Yeah, that was great. I just want to say that the New Paltz bus station that has access to Port Authority in New York City, and I think maybe elsewhere as well, and also reaches up north if you're coming from that way. It's the Adirondack Trailways, but just to give you an idea of of how far we are from the city, we are an hour and a half north and we are located about a mile from the New Paltz bus station. We can talk about how we are available to shuttle people if they're coming to and from the bus, and they don't have to walk. But and students are always available too to stop by the bus station and pick fellow students up. But we are not far. We're also not far from the downtown area of New Paltz. It's just a quick little walk. So students really like to, on lunch breaks or just short breaks from class, to take a walk on beautiful historic Huguenot Street. It's very pedestrian friendly, and many people walk it just simply to have the view shed of the mountains. Um, and there's a lovely coffee shop just a couple minute walk away, and then you're also welcome to walk to downtown and grab dinner with classmates after class ends. So we feel just really lucky to kind of feel very much in nature, but also have such close access to the community that's there. Um, okay. So when you are in the building, I guess I just want to also say the house, because we are in a farmhouse, all three cohorts are meeting on the same weekends of the school year. So there are three separate classrooms in this farmhouse. And when we are in a school weekend, the house just comes alive. There are folks, just like so many students that are landing and coming together from all their different places on this planet, and we're all meeting in these classrooms. And because all the three cohorts are there, you're not only given the opportunity to connect with your peers and your classmates, but you also have this unique opportunity to connect with folks in other cohorts, connect with teachers that may not be teaching your class that day, but are teaching another cohort. We're all there, meaning that during lunchtime, we're all in the kitchen. And it's really in those spaces where we just feel like the community aspect of the program feels really lush and really magical. And there's just something that really comes together. And yeah, it's just something we're really grateful for. Um, Okay, so I'll stop this share. Um, and the next piece is when is Arborvitae, when and what times are classes held. Um, Claudia,
Want me to?
I have a slide for that. Maybe you want to go ahead and just introduce it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a slide too I could share.
Okay.
Um, so, um, so basically, as we've already sort of alluded to a few times, is we were all in person for the first, you know, 6, 7 years of the school, and then COVID, yeah, 7 years of the school. Then COVID came, went all online, but we actually were in person a good deal during COVID too. But what we landed on is hybrid. And we feel like this really offers the best, and the way we've worked the hybrid, we feel happy about. Not so like being online is not perfect for everybody, but um we have a 3-day weekend every month. So rather than having a hybrid program where you see people in the beginning of a program and at the end, you're seeing people every month. And so you're developing relationships and able to taste things and make medicine and go out and see plants together and see how, your fellow students also experience the plants, and in a way that's very intimate, because there's, even during the breaks, there's all these discussions. Um, and that happens, September through May, Friday through Sunday. And then we have three online, it'd be for the first year on Wednesdays. Actually, we've shortened it a little bit, 9 a.m. to 4:15, because that just, and had a shorter lunch because that seemed better for the online energy. But within that, it's live. That's the thing. So you've just been with your, fellow students, and you know them, and you're now on a discussion on Zoom, and it's like being with your friends, or, certainly your colleagues, and you're able to talk live with the teacher. It's not recorded. Though we do record those Zoom classes, for, everybody, to have, for it's just for that class. And year 2 and 3 is the same, except their online schedules on Tuesdays. So what happens is that we have the week after every 3-day weekend off. Like, so you're just together for this big event, which, herbal event, with lots of teachers, lots of people. But also, this room is just another aspect of this house. It's an old house with plaster, and you can be in with thick walls. You can be in one room right next to another and not really hear each other until you come out into the hallway. So there is still this sense of containment. But yeah, you have that week off, and then you have 3 weekdays, and then you have the next weekend. So um,
Yeah.
so should
And
I? Oh,
I was just gonna add to, if anyone, because I know this can be like a little hard to visualize and to really like understand the rhythm of it. If you are curious to see how this current school year reflects this schedule, all the dates are up on our website, so you can see the rhythm of the online Wednesdays to the weekend to the week you have off, just to sort of start to understand how this would feel in your own life and how to sort of how would you would navigate that. Um,
I
yeah.
I just thought of something that Diana manages every year, that I want to highlight, is that we actually try not to have our in-person classes or other classes on holidays. um, because, people have family and other kinds of things going on, and we also have like a spring, Thanksgiving break, and a harvest break, and a spring break, and then end of the year break, for about a month. So there's a week, but when you have the weekend, it actually ends up being like 2 weeks, for the spring and fall weekend. She just makes that work for everybody. So there's, in the midst of all this activity, there are these breaks.
Yeah, yeah. So, right. So a harvest break, a longer winter break, which is about a month, a spring break. And then the nice part of, or rather, the thought that went into having this school schedule run on a typical academic schedule is really to make sure that the summers are off. We really are committed that to having everyone be outside in the summertime. Summertime is when you should be tending to your gardens and relishing in those connections and not being on Zoom if you can help it. And there have been students that take those summer opportunities to spend time on a farm, apprentice at a farm, or just simply be with their own garden and be outside. And so we just felt really strongly that this would also be supportive for parents in the program and anyone who just wants to sort of have a container for the school year and still know that they will have an extended period of time in those summer months where they're not required or expected to be in class at all. That's you time. That's us time too. We will take that seriously as well and be outside as much as possible. So there's that. The other thing that Claudia also alluded to, excuse me, the Claudia also alluded to in the on the weekends is that our in-person weekends, I really focus or we focus on scheduling the food demos and medicine making days, as well as field trips on those weekends. So you will have outside time as well on those weekends, maybe except for the really cold winter months. I know January and February, and December, rather, December, January, February, we're not really spending that much time outdoors. We're usually indoors, keeping cozy around like a pot of tea. But um, the botany program is also Rich is really committed to making sure that you all know your winter botany as well, and making sure that you all can be outside with the trees and the plants and see stalks and see bark and see and be able to identify, still feel like you can really nurture a connection, even if those more like identifying parts are not visible, they're still there. And there's Rich says there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing or not being prepared enough, I think is what he says. So we try to be outside as much as possible. That's all I wanted to include about it.
Should I stop that? Share or go to another?
Yeah, go to the slide of the partners in Herb Community.
Okay.
I think that's right after. Yeah, right here. Um, Okay, so I may just kind of start us off, and maybe Sam, you wanna support me towards the middle here. Okay, so Arbor Vitae, we are so grateful for our community and these organizations listed here. They're not limited to these. We find so vital to support and they are doing such incredible work and they inspire us, and we do what we can to make sure that the students know of them and have access to information and have those the opportunities to um, seek their knowledge as much as possible. So, as part of the student tuition, we every student that is enrolled gets a United Plant Savers membership. United Plant Savers, if you haven't heard of them, they are an incredible nonprofit organization based in Ohio. And their mission is plant conservation, medicinal plant conservation. They put out these incredible, beautiful journals with stories and pictures and recipes and resources from within the herbal community, from written by elders, just real herbalists that whose mission is to um, make sure that we are sustainably having relationships with these plants. United Plant Savers also puts on an incredible herb conference once a year. But if you check out their website, you can see all of that. Also, with your membership, you also get these incredible discounts to all these things, and we organize all of those discounts and discount codes and all of the benefits that you get as a student um, into a resource list that you can find on your student portal. I will talk about the student portal in just a little bit, but I'll stick to this for now. Um, Herbalists Without Borders, they are wonderful. Richard Mandelbaum, co-founder and core teacher, just recently became a co-coordinator in the local chapter of Herbalists Without Borders. We've partnered up so that we can have donations made to our scholarship fund. Um, as a within a nonprofit option, and Herbalists Without Borders is just doing really important boots on the ground work right now and has been for a very long time. But their efforts, if you want to just understand a little bit more about mutual aid and how to support, I definitely recommend checking their website out. They're wonderful. And Sam, I left the HG for you.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk about the AHD. And just because I want to call in the plants since we're all gathered on this Zoom, that's a picture of golden seal in the United Plant Savers. That's Hydrastis canadensis, just to know that she's here too. And so the American Herbalist Guild, this is an important place for us in the herbal world, and they do remarkable work. The American Herbalist Guild has been around. That sort of thing says 30th anniversary, but I think we're above that now. I think we're
Yeah,
31 or 32. Um,
yeah,
but the American Herbalist Guild was founded really with the intention of educating and protecting clinical herbalists. It's spread their mission more and more, but we are not, as herbalists, a licensed occupation in this country. And that's a discussion that we will certainly have in the school. Um, I, for one, am quite pleased by that and think that is a good way to be. But we'll talk about that for sure. But what the Herbalist Guild does is it offers a credential called the Registered Herbalist, which is not an easy credential. And it's not something that is, uh, uh, it's not something that just comes because you go to an herb school. But the Registered Herbalist credential is basically a way of saying within the herbal community that other herbalists who are practicing, who have seen your work, are understanding that you're a clinician of capability and care, if we could say it like that. And so they have a lot of prerequisites and things that you must do before you're even able to apply. And one of the things that was very, I think, in the founding of the school was making sure that the amount of course hours, which we saw on a previous slide, and the type of relationship with the clinic, it really does set you up to be in a place, if this was interesting to you in your path, to be able to apply within a few years after graduating from the herbal school for something like the RH credential. But before you're even thinking about the RH, this is a wonderful resource for education and for supportive herbalists. They offer many, many hours of wonderful webinars there's a huge library. They also publish a journal, and they host an annual conference as well. I believe the United Plant Savers Conference is every 2 years, which is IHS, and then the American Herbalist Guild has always been every year. And so these are places where you're going to just be able to meet other people in the herbal communities, get support, really educational resources, and then professional resources if this becomes your professional path as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
I'll
Um,
just I'll add one little thing because when we were developing the curriculum, the American Herbalist Guild has a list of what recommended courses and classes, as Sam mentioned. And so we, in our 3-year program, cover all that education. And they also recommend a certain amount of hours, I forget, of clinical practice. But because we have a clinic and, actually over 2 years, that clinical practice can be start you on your way. So
mm,
as Rich says, like not many other schools offer that piece, and we're just really proud because that was the inspiration of the schools to set people up, whether they got an, you know, AHG registered herbalist recognition or not, you can set you up for your own herbal practice and feel competent and good in doing so. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's great. And we satisfy all of the educational hours that the
Yeah.
AHG requires for that designation or for that application, that process. Um, so we have Rich and Claudia were incredibly thoughtful, and when they were starting the school. Um, and the which brings us into the actual program, the actual curriculum. And um
Should I
yeah,
stop the chair or go to another slide or?
you could stop the share. We could just chat. So I see in everyone's faces.
Mhm.
So this is a comprehensive herbal program. And I maybe Claudia, do you want to talk about why you feel a comprehensive herbal program was so important in creating the school?
Yeah, so in different programs, like you might have it's shorter ones. You can't cover as much, so you'll focus on one thing. One might focus on botany and medicine making. Another might focus on one energetic system or something like that. I mean, there's many schools that are good. We want people to find the right herb school for them. So this is not about, but just trying to um, sort of say like what we are about and if that resonates with you. So we, and this is in part related to all the topics that the AHG thinks an herbalist should be proficient in. So there's botany, there's medicine making. Even if you decide not to make medicine, you want to know how to make a wide variety of medicine so you can understand the quality of the medicine. Um, of, and there's many other aspects around that. And Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, and Vitalist, as I've already said. Um, there's apothecary and one of the things too, of course, is what we call materia medica, botanical materia medica, the medicines of the materials of our medicines. Which is basically herbs. And so throughout each year, we will have classes that just focus on the herbs. In every class, of course, we're talking about herbal medicine in one way or another, and we'll bring in plants. But this in focusing on a plant like golden seal hydrastis, we're not going to just focus on um, berberine for stomach issues, but so many, many other aspects of the plant. And so this is, holistic understanding of the plants, also their presence in history, their presence in lore, and presence, these plants have accompanied humans in many ways. Some are, we need to understand it's carefully how to use them because they could be poisonous and used in doses that aren't good, or harvested of endangered herbs. We talk about all of those. So, just thinking of all the, um, we mentioned a little bit. One of the other kinds of things we cover, and Rich, this is one of the things that, topics Rich is herbal safety, and the law, herbal law, or applies to herbalists. And also, teaching about, blood tests and how to read blood tests and how we engage with it. There's always, especially in the third year, we get into a number of things related to, drugs that people might be taking as they come to an herbalist. So, we feel important. It's not only that we're applying these traditional ways, which didn't really have, the kind of blood tests and pharmaceutical drugs that people take available, but, really, how do we bring this into modern practice? Because that's what's going on with people. And in some cases they need to stay on it. In some cases they want to get off of it. This will all be unfolded in those classes. Um, I don't know, Sam, if you want to. It's so many different topics, but, that's what's coming to mind for me right now.
Yeah, I think it's incredible the range of topics that is covered, and yet it is coherent in that we have the path of the clinic um, as we're going through the 3 years.
Yeah.
By the third year, you're in a student clinic that meets every 2 weeks and offers support to our community, but at the same time gets mentorship for the herbalists in training. Um, so I guess I would say this way, that one of the things I really value about Arbor Vitae is that I've had the fortune, because I was involved with the American Herbalist Guild for some years. I'm not currently, but in traveling around the country and attending many herbal conferences and seeing students from all the different herbal schools. And one of the specialties, I think, of Arbor Vitae is that it weaves in all of these traditions. So we have wonderful Ayurveda teacher, several Ayurveda teachers. We have wonderful Chinese medicine teachers. The Vitalist tradition that Claudia's mentioned um, is a deep tradition throughout Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and America. It kind of has traveled all over. The scientific tradition, like mentioning knowing how to read blood work and how to work with pharmaceutical medicines, how to understand the interactions with the medicines and the drugs with the drugs, and all of this, it's all folded in so that what I notice when I travel around and attend other conferences is that different paths offer different things. This is a little bit different than someone who goes to an apprenticeship, because in an apprenticeship, you pretty much learn the style of your teacher. One teacher, and you pick it up, and then you do what you were taught, you know, hopefully. And then there's other traditions where maybe you go down a lineage path and you study Ayurveda deeply, or you study Chinese medicine deeply. This is a way where we're exposed to everything, and we're weaving it towards being available in the clinic in service in our community. And what I see is that when Arbor Vitae students and graduates are at the national events, they're able to follow any teacher. They're able to pick up what anybody from any tradition is putting down. And that gives me a great encouragement that it's comprehensive, and it's inclusive, and it gives you the ability to find the way and the tools that you need to be the herbalist that you're here to be, that you find in the program your own style, and you have all of this support and all of these resources. And that's something I see as really unique to this school. It's something I've noticed over many years now. Um, that didn't really get you more topics, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of material. If your goal is to study the plants and the people, yeah, you've got your work cut out for you. And we've got a curriculum that gets you all of those angles. That's my feeling.
Hmm. Thank you, Sam and Claudia. Um, so how do we organize all of this for you? How do we organize the curriculum and all of the material, all of the resources we give you? We have a student portal, and I'll just spend a minute talking about this just because we're really proud of our student portal. I'm really proud of it. It is just such a hub of like all of your recordings, all of your resources, all of your slides, all of the recipes, all of um, every single handout, every single benefit you get, it's all organized in a student portal. And it's just wonderful. It's so abundant and robust, and you have access to all of that, but you also have access to download everything that you want. The recordings are the only part of the student portal that you can't download. They can't be accessible offline, but you can stream them online via the portal. But we encourage every student to download every single handout that they want and can onto their own laptops and start creating these organized notes for yourself that will follow you through and carry you way beyond Arbor Vitae. So you have everything, and that goes for every single year. So you will have year one resources and materia medica monographs and resource libraries, and then you have one for year two and you have one for year three. While you go through the program, you keep access. So, say you're in year two, you keep access to your year one. If you're in year three, you keep access to your year one and your year two. And the reason I mention that is because it's a lot of information, and you are going to have all of the recordings and necessary information you need to go back and refresh on previous years, on just catch something that you might have missed. So that's all there, and that becomes incredibly supportive and helpful, especially when you're in the clinical year, in the third year, because you want to go back and say, like, what did Claudia say about allergies in January 2 years ago? You have the ability to find that and just like get reacclimated to that, all that content. Um, there's also a part of the year one curriculum that we haven't mentioned yet, and I just want to do a quick little shout out. Tammy Sweet is an incredible herbalist. She is just a fantastic teacher, and medicine grower, and medicine maker, and clinical herbalist. And she's located in Ithaca, New York, but she has created an anatomy and physiology program that is a requirement of our first year program. So what that looks like, it's a series of videos that you watch and you go through the body systems with Tammy Sweet. She's very entertaining to watch. You get lifetime access to all of these videos as well, so you can always go back to these videos years later and refresh and watch Tammy Sweet do her thing. So that's really important because having a good sense of the body anatomically will really support the information that you're getting on the body systems and the herbs while you're in that first year, and obviously year two and year three as well.
Um, I'll
Mhm.
say a little bit more about the portal. Um, One thing, that Diana said she's proud of, and we all are, because, but the other thing we just shifted in the past few years. You get access to the current year one and two if you're in three. Like, so if there's a different class, a different teacher, you can go back and listen to that and new handouts. So that's another thing. But within all of that, it's too much information for you to take in. Um, so the people who are very conscientious are a little freaked out sometimes because we are generous. Like you always get slides, you always get notes, and a lot of auxiliary information about everything that we're teaching. Um, so you, it's great if you can read all this stuff, but it's meant for you to be able to have this, just have supportive and come back to it, or if you want to go a deeper dive. Um, and again, you can download all of this. You might get particular articles or you like a botany book that a few ebooks that you can't get other ways. Like a Richard has there's a beautiful botany book that is devoted to plants that's from Australia and out of print, but we're able as in our school to offer it to you. So things like that. Um, so I just yeah, when you see it, people just get overwhelmed and in a sense, that's a little bit the intention, but not in the bad sense of the word, in the sense of like, oh, this is a huge and wide and expansive tradition. And we're not limiting, I mean, there's always limits to what anything can be offered, but um, we want you to be able to dive into where you want to dive into.
I I wanted to add just one thing as we're talking about the portal and the curriculum in general, because there's something I feel it's important that we mention as something that's included in the program. And that is there's a lot of classwork done on clinical assessment and herbal assessment. We spend a lot of time talking about the energetic systems of the different traditions. But just to give a sense of that, because it might not be familiar to everybody, we do train in tongue diagnosis and pulse diagnosis. And people who've studied in Chinese medicine or have been to an acupuncturist, for example, will know that that's part of that tradition, looking at the tongue, taking the pulse. It's also part of the tradition in Ayurveda, and it's also part of the tradition in the Vitalist style. And it was until quite recently, not just beats per minute, part of what our medical practice was doing when we took the pulse. So I just wanted to throw that in there. It's a very important skill that we offer, and really gives um, some excellent insight when we're looking at our people. So just to throw that in.
Yeah. Um, We are also just a few minutes shy of our wonderful students and guests coming on, where we're just gonna also give them the floor to share their experience and give you all the floor to ask them questions or ask us questions. Um, but I want to also say, just as part of the expectations of the program and just like what your sort of engagement beyond attendance and being in class is there are some homework assignments. We call it home play. And these assignments, there's no, so I want to just maybe backtrack a second and say that there's no grading, in case that wasn't obvious. There's none of that here. These home play and even the quizzes that follow the Tammy Sweet AMP videos, there's no getting it wrong. Um, these these home play assignments, these invitations for you to journal and sit with and really consider the relationships you are creating with the plants. And so some of the assignments are Herb of the Month, for example, where you are choosing a plant for the month and either creating medicine with it or cooking with it or um, drinking tea, making a decoction, and the whole experience is really just to journal and share what that experience has been. How has it felt in your body? How does it feel in your mind? What subtle shifts are you feeling, if any? And just really allowing that plant to be in space with you and have you journal about that experience, really. And there are also tongue and pulse assignments, medicine making assignments, and I can share a PDF of what those assignments look like. They range from about 2 to 3, 2 maybe a month that they are due. And the amount of time you spend with those assignments is really up to you. It's really however much you want to put into that experience is how much um, you make it out, meaning that it's really important that you don't feel any kind of um, you don't feel like you are doing it wrong. You don't need to feel like if I haven't spent this many hours on it, I'm not quite doing it right. This is meant to fit into your life, with all of the other responsibilities that you have. So I just want to make this feel accessible, most importantly. And you'll also be submitting these to Dana Perry. Dana Perry is
Yeah.
so fabulous. She's also a graduate from the program. She graduated in 2018, and she is a writer, she is an herbalist, she is a mother, she is a lover of this path and this wisdom, and she really creates relationships with you all simply by reviewing your homework and giving feedback and just really being there to answer any questions you may have as you're navigating um, medicine making at home or botany at home or yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in there. Um,
I see two students, Margaret and Teresa. Margaret's in year 3 and Teresa's in year 2. We might have a graduate come on to in a little bit later. Um, Margaret, maybe you want to say, because you're in the third year first, and it's like how it is from the first year to the third year or anything else, but just, how the experience of the first year feeds into the third year, if that's something. Um, yeah.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Um, yeah, I think the first year to the third year is oh gosh, it's so different. I feel like the first year was sort of a fever dream, which is how one of our classmates put it, of like there's so much information coming, all in beautiful ways. But really, the school and all the visiting teachers are giving you such a breadth of just different practices, different ways that herbalism is practiced. And at the end of the year, you're like, will this all sink in? And then it does into year two, starts to come together. And then in year three, you're really it's sort of surprising in a way of how it all comes together again in a good way, but you it does sink in, and you do start to integrate it and embody it, and you're seeing, clients in the clinic, and that's really the magic of how the school is set up, is that you're just really building up. So that third year, in the second year, you're doing some practice clients, but not part of the clinic. So in the third year, yeah, it's really just integrating everything, the teachers and the clinic mentors are there, with so much support. But it all starts to click. Um, and so I'm so grateful for how, Sam and Rich and Diana and Claudia have organized the school to bring in such a variety of teachers. And it gives you such an awareness, like I was saying, of all the ways that herbalism is practiced and around the world. And then it's up to you to kind of see how it fits with you, how you want to practice, if that's what you choose to do. Um, but yeah, I think the exposure to so many different teachers, it's very different in some surprising ways of like, wow, that's really interesting. I didn't really, we didn't learn that yet. And then it gives you such a wide lens. So yeah. Anything else you want me to share?
Um, any like what are the do you have any prompts, Diana? It's like or
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to make sure we hear from Teresa as well. But I can't stress enough, if any of you all have questions for Margaret, please feel free. Um, or Teresa, like just any part of this presentation or anything you've been thinking about, even if it's like logistically that you're wondering about, yeah, don't hesitate. Just to say.
perhaps Teresa, you want to share a bit of your experience?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. Hi, I'm Teresa. I'm at work right now, so I can only stay for a few minutes. But I mean, I have loved everything about this school. You know, I've been studying for about 13, 14 years now, probably about five-ish, six-ish years formally. And I finally decided to, I'd been looking at Arbor Vitae for a long time, and I was kind of like, oh man, trying to figure out weekends. Kids are older now, so it just worked out. And I love the in-person part of it. I do okay online, but just the 3 days that you're there, so much good stuff is packed in, and all of the instructors are so engaging. Um, I tend to be a more clinical, sciencey focused mind, and that's part of the reason I wanted to come here was because I wanted to open it to everything. I wanted to learn the different backgrounds. And I considered, I was like, maybe I should start in year two. And I am so glad that I decided to start in year one because even just their year one, the foundations that they teach you in there are unlike anything. Like I've done 2 year programs that I didn't even get close to what is taught and what they bring to you in year one. All the instructors are absolutely amazing, and they're each slightly geared in different ways. So you get all these different viewpoints. And as a second year student, we're seeing all the different teachers and their interviewing styles for clinic, and everybody is just slightly different. I see my own clients now and I have my way, but I've learned so many things just from watching the instructors do it their way and things that I want to bring in and tie in that how my mind was before, it wouldn't have really maybe gone that way. But it's a great school. The area is absolutely beautiful. It's a nice little town. It's got a good vibe. Everybody you meet on the little walk to school, all the local residents are really friendly and everything. And I mean, I absolutely love being here. I'll be studying the rest of my life at an herbal school somewhere because I like to take in all the different viewpoints, and I'll learn forever from everyone. We've had instructors, each teach us their own version of the same thing. And from every instructor, you're like, oh, okay, well, this is pretty. And then you learn it from someone else and you're like, oh, okay. And then, you know, somebody else expands upon it and expands upon it. And then, I'm sitting here at work at 2 o'clock in the morning on my night shift, going down rabbit holes, trying to like learn about all this stuff. Um, so does anybody have any questions really quick?
Yeah.
I do better with
Okay.
almost like a questioning format.
Yeah, please do ask them. They're gonna
Anything? I mean, you can always reach out to me too if you want to through the school. You're more than welcome to. And um,
I have a
if you don't, go
I
ahead.
have one question. What was the most
Sure.
surprising thing about the school?
Mhm.
That like what was like in your first year versus your second year? You say you were very big into school, so am I. So I'm just curious into like, okay, what was something that you whether it was the teachers or the campus or the student or the experience, what was the most surprising thing that
Um,
you experienced?
Honestly, probably the most surprising thing was how especially I'm in year two and we just happen to have a smaller cohort. But even from the first time meeting everyone last year, is how closely, you form bonds with your classmates. And, you have people in our class. We have somebody who is a registered dietitian. We have a psychologist. I'm a sleep tech. I do sleep studies. You just have so many people who have so much experience and they each add their little bit too from their experience into the class. And that's always really nice to hear, especially when they might look at things too differently than you do. It's just not that you each look at it right or wrong. It's just I take one thing out of this, you take one thing, and then we combine what we each took and um, you're in a whole new viewpoint. But the school's very welcoming. The farmhouse is beautiful. The property is absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. And the little walk from the parking lot up to the school, you see the mountains in the background, and that just surprised me realizing I'd have that, every day. So that's probably like the biggest thing is just how quickly, you form bonds with your classmates and you're helping each other out. Because everybody's there for the same common goal and you're learning the same things. And, I reach out to classmates that, hey, you have more of a psych background on this. How would you look at this? Or you have more of this background. So honestly, that's probably been one of the most surprising things, I think, for me. So
Thank you so much, Teresa.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I got there.
Anybody else?
Or Margaret, I wonder if you would also answer what was the most surprising for you.
Came for the plants, found myself.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, your classmates, I mean, maybe every year, yeah, every year is I'm sure a little bit different, but like our bond is so strong and I don't want it to end. It won't end, it'll just change. Um, and oh gosh, it's the best. It really is the best. Um, and yeah, I saw a couple questions too in the chat.
Oh,
Oh,
Diana, do you want to manage that or should...
I'm gonna
Yeah.
head out. My patients are here, so I'm gonna say bye to everybody.
I just go to cable.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
you,
If you guys have any
Teresa.
questions, feel free to message me or whatnot. All right,
Mm.
bye.
Thank you.
Um, is it possible to apply this year to start in September 2027? Was one of the questions. Yeah, absolutely. Be in touch with us and love that you're thinking ahead. If that is what you decide, we can also be in touch about the book lists and books that you can get a head start on reading. Yeah.
Yes, I'd love that because there's a few of us who are here, but we want to start in September. It's just the three of us are friends. So we're here because we all have a common goal. Like Shireen is asking about like African herbalism. Like she's from Jamaica, she's Jamaican, I'm Haitian, and Humera is from Pakistan. So like we're really close friends and we want to do this together, but we want to also give ourselves time to prepare for it, both mentally and in terms of revolving around life. So knowing that we can apply this year to start next year is actually really excited because also I'm a planner. So I like to like if I know I'm starting school next year, I can start to your point, Diana, starting to read books, reading things. Like I've even started to just like researching about plants already, what each of them mean, and I already started to compile a list of books. So I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I love that you're all considering doing this together. Like yeah, how beautiful. We could definitely chat. So, all of you get in touch with me or one of you get in touch with me and I'll make sure to get you guys all that information.
Thank you.
Of course. Um,
I had a question. I'm one of the friends, Humera. As someone who's working full time and I don't really have a job where I have the flexibility of hours, so that I was the one that posted that question about Fridays. Is there any flexibility around that, or
Yeah, so our attendance policy or our attendance requirement is that a student is present for 85% of the program, meaning that allows for 8 full days that you can be absent. Um, with that said, we have this has come up this comes up every cohort where, just naturally there are students that are going to have just like a tough time kind of imagining how this schedule will work in their life with their careers or their families. And we have always, just to kind of plug this, we have always also just encouraged folks to have um, conversations with their employers. It doesn't always work. So I just want to be like really mindful that like if this is not the scenario that would work, please don't try. I just feel like we say it every year because sometimes when there's just like an open dialogue, especially if that person's open to it, that there is at least just maybe some kind of like creative churning of like, okay, cool, you want to do this. And we've just seen it happen before. So I would just be remiss to not mention it that reaching out to your employer and just seeing how flexible they could be. The online days, while that attendance is also for being live, there's always the option of watching the recording. So we can always, I'm happy to talk with anyone. I'm happy to talk with you, Humera, if the online classes are also a concern. But for the Fridays, um, yeah, I've just heard from different people that they find different solutions. Sometimes their employers are willing to um, have you sort of like make up another day if you can have that Friday off. I don't know. But that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you worked it out with your job that you, for instance, like had to miss Fridays. Let's just be in touch. I feel like it's always like a like one-on-one um scenario where I feel like I can kind of like give ideas. It's harder in a bigger context because like everybody's situation is different. But I don't know, Claudia, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I basically emphasizing what you had said, and it is like you're in a master's program, so um, and actually, Margaret, you have a full-time job, so I just wonder how you manage that.
Um, yeah, I worked it out
Yeah,
basically. Um, there's more to my story, but
yeah,
yeah, I worked it out. And, I think it's just having an honest conversation of like, this is something I really want to do, and let's see how we can make it work.
yeah.
Just kind of open-ended. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but please reach out. I'd love to have like hop on a phone call and or just like talk this through a little bit more in depth. Um,
Yeah, I will definitely be in touch. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Cool.
I,
Um, yeah.
I was just looking at a question. Diana can share the book list. I will say the books are focused on resources. We give a phytochemistry book to you. So I don't know if it's listed, but you don't have to buy it. Um, and a number of other things. They're often um, resources for you to look up. There are many other herbalists and herbals that are excellent, that are more introductory, but these are more going in different topics. So medical herbalism and a few other things as we get into the clinical years. So Diana can send that to you all. Um, Margaret, do you want to say anything about the books? Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the school, you'll see when Dinah shares it, there's like sort of the core ones and then like recommended ones. Um, Everyone's different how much they can buy. There's some great, used book sources and people share. If you can figure out like a book share, that's always great.
We
Um,
have a library too.
yeah, and the school is the library, but I would say, I mean, I'm just a book order, frankly. And it's all come in useful, even the recommended ones. So if you can swing it or you share with people, uh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
We're actually at
so
8:30.
yeah, we're at time, but I think it's important just to go through these, just a couple more questions. So there is a question on African herbal medicine. Um, Sam, do you want to
Yeah,
talk?
I wanted to mention, Claudia mentioned Olatukumba Obasi, who is living in Kenya. And Ola's an amazing herbalist. We actually worked together on the AHG for a while, and so much respect for Ola. But she also had for many years a practice in Puerto Rico. So she bridges Caribbean medicine with African traditional medicine, indigenous African medicine in a beautiful way. And she's one of the teachers who comes through. Um, one of the things that I've learned from Ola, because she's from East Africa, is how much of the plants that are used in East African medicine overlap with the plants in Ayurveda. And that's a really interesting thing when you have all these different teachers. You can weave these traditions together. But otherwise, we haven't had recently, we have in the past, we haven't had um, other African-centered herbalism at the moment. Not a current teacher, but it's always something that we're looking for. And certainly in the conferences around, there are plenty of wonderful teachers. As
We do have a class with a day with Tiffany Robinson, who teaches African American
mm,
traditions in herbalism, and that's in year one. It's These are both big topics, and the school doesn't introduces them to you, and you'll meet teachers along these lines. And some teachers sometimes you'll have more of some indigenous traditions than others because those can rotate a bit. But within that, um, this is like, oh yes, do I want to pursue this, and learn all these other traditions as well. So you have those options to be introduced to it by practitioners in those traditions.
Yeah. Um, so the other question, I think I missed one above. Is there space or mentorship around professional development slash herbal career paths, establishing a practice? So, I feel like I want to make, we get this question a lot. And I think throughout the 3 years, you will definitely have established close connections with your core faculty, especially and your mentors, but also our guest teachers. They are so open and generous with creating a line of dialogue and being supportive if you have questions. But I think the main thing is once you complete the 3 year program, many students seek that like more clinical guided one-on-one mentorship. And I think I think the program, from getting all of those different perspectives, that's when you know and really align with who you'd be inspired to work with afterwards, should you want a mentor after the school. I think the most important thing to mention is like because the school is really held up by so many different voices, you won't get that one-on-one mentorship. You're not going to be fully immersed in one specific teacher's teachings. I mean, you will get that in every class you have with them, but if you wanted more of that one-on-one time, in being in the program and being in a classroom with them and really resonating with the way they're teaching, the way they practice, that's when I think it will inform you to know who you'd like to study with um, going forward. I hope that was that answered that or like just started to answer that one. Okay. Um, what does it look like for those coming from out of town? Yes, good question. We have created a spreadsheet that is not exhaustive. We're still building it and creating it, especially as we create more community connections in New Paltz. It is a spreadsheet that is all these different accommodation settings. So they range from campgrounds in the warmer months to New Paltz has a hostel that we get a discount with. There's also some hotels. I'm forgetting like the names right now, but they're all listed on this spreadsheet. But also there are Airbnbs, and we have this wonderful elder who is next door who has graciously opened her home to accommodate and house a student every weekend of the school year. So that's also an option, and we can always make those connections if you want, if you're interested. But the main thing that will get established as well once you're sort of in the program and you've had a chance to meet people and understand who's from out of town, who's local is local students will also open their homes and house students. And it becomes like what I imagine is like one big fun slumber party for the weekend. But also groups of students will also go in on renting a space together just to kind of like lower those costs as much as possible as well. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I can share that accommodation spreadsheet and you know, I'm happy to connect with you, Allison, and I can give you more resources as well, or for anyone, as well.
Sam, you were going to say something that maybe about something in previously.
Oh, I just wanted to mention with as far as the professional development business aspect that there are classes in the business of herbalism. And definitely it's something we're talking about constantly in the clinic about how that's going to look when someone sets up their own clinic. Margaret, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about that. Um,
Yeah, I think the class we had maybe a couple in year two and on legal aspects as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and setting up your practice, and then just with all of the core teachers and then all of the visiting teachers, they're also sharing about their practice as well, especially starting in year two. And then absolutely in year three when you're in clinic and you are getting mentorship in that way, um, with case reviews and things like that. So yeah, that feels full to me. Like I feel like I have a good sense as much as possible. Yeah.
Class size, or did you have any more to say, Sam? Okay. Class size is, um, we can accept up to 30 people in the first year. Um, and it could be like 25 to 30, depends, but so it's a big full class. Actually, and in the third year, this year you have 25. So pretty much everybody just went through the full 3 years. And this year two class is the one exception, which is sweet on some levels because they get all this more intimate, and they're about 10 or 11 students. So, but that's but usually it's around 15 to 20 or 25 in the second and third year. Um, and maybe that's it. And you can reach us. So the secret emails, it's not on the website. It's like is
Um,
it's our name, our first name, Claudia, Diana, or Sam, or Rich at arborvitaeny.com. Um, and then so it's just our name at our first name at the URL, the website. But there's ways on the website, and you can reach out to Diana about details.
yeah. And before we wrap up, because I'm so grateful to everyone just hanging in there and spending your evening with us. We have an in-person open house happening May 31st. I mean, we'll have another virtual open house if you are wanting to see us again and hear all of this again, please join us April 9th. And our application deadline is May 1st. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you'd like to apply sooner than later and would like to start organizing and visualizing and planning your year ahead and want an early decision, just let us know. We're happy to review that sooner than later and get back to you about that. So yeah, so you have that information. But I thank you so, so much again for spending your evening with us. Thank you, Margaret, for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we're so eager and hopeful to connect and meet you all again and in person, hopefully in September. And yeah, Claudia, Sam, I don't know if you guys want to add anything, but I just want to say thank you and have a wonderful night. Good.
Yeah, I hope maybe some things have inspired you here about herbalism, and maybe you want hopefully come to Arbor Vitae. But something drew you to this open house, and I hope that you find some way with herbalism because it opens up so much of life through this herbal practice, and it becomes a good way to live on this earth. So I wish you all very, very well. Mhm.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.